Sometimes we wish she was never born. Those words hit the air at my graduation dinner, and the entire restaurant went silent. Even the clinking of glasses stopped. My mother, Serena, had just announced to our entire family that my existence was a mistake. And she said it with a smile. For 18 years, I'd swallowed every insult, every cold look, every comparison to my genius brother Colden. I'd become an expert at hiding pain. But something snapped inside me that night at Delmonico's. I stood up slowly. Everyone watched, expecting tears or a scene, but I felt strangely calm. "Consider me as if I no longer exist," I said, looking directly at my mother. "From this day forward, live your lives as though there was never a daughter named Maribel." My mother's fake smile froze. My father looked down at his plate. My brother smirked, clearly enjoying the drama. Asterisk, asterisk. Before I tell you what happened next, let me ask you this. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted most? If you have, you'll feel this story deep in your soul. And if you know that kind of pain, hit subscribe. Not because it helps me, but because stories like this remind us that sometimes silence and strength are the best revenge. Asterisk, asterisk. I grabbed my purse and walked out, heels clicking across the floor. Nobody followed me. Not my father, who had stood by silently for years. Not my brother, who'd learned to treat me like garbage. Certainly not my mother, who was already trying to laugh it off as a little joke. But it wasn't a joke. It was the truth she'd been showing me my entire life. What nobody at that table knew was that I wasn't just walking away from dinner. I was walking away from them completely. My apartment was already secured, my separate bank account set up, my acceptance to Stanford confirmed. And most importantly, I had discovered my mother's secret. The secret that would destroy everything she valued more than me. People think revenge has to be loud and messy, but real revenge, it's patient, calculated, cold. Just like she taught me to be. 3 months before that dinner, I was cleaning our attic. Not because anyone asked. I'd learned early that doing chores without being told sometimes earned me a nod of acknowledgement from my father. That's when I found the metal box. It was hidden beneath old Christmas decorations, locked and dusty. The key wasn't there, but the lock was cheap. A hairpin and some patience was all it took. Inside were documents that made my hands shake. Financial records, hospital reports, letters from a charity board, and newspaper clippings with certain passages highlighted. At first, the information seemed random, but as I read more, the pieces connected. My perfect, moral, community-respected mother had embezzled money from a children's charity foundation years ago. Nearly $200,000 disappeared while she served as treasurer. The evidence was overwhelming. Bank statements showing suspicious transfers, threatening letters she'd written to witnesses, even a draft of a resignation letter that was never submitted. My mother, who criticized my every move and claimed I embarrassed the family, had stolen from sick children. I photographed every document before carefully returning the box exactly as I'd found it. My hands were steady now, my mind clear for the first time in years. That night at dinner, she complained about the neighbor's daughter getting arrested for shoplifting. "Some people have no moral compass," she said, shaking her head. "Imagine raising a child like that." I just nodded and passed the potatoes. But inside, something had changed. The girl who flinched at her mother's voice was gone. In her place was someone new, someone planning. I wasn't going to confront her in anger. I wasn't going to argue. I was going to wait. And when the time was right, I would show the world who Serena Rowan really was. The box in the attic wasn't the beginning. It was just the final piece of a puzzle I'd been trying to solve my entire life. Why does my mother hate me? My first memory is watching her brush my brother's hair when he was 4. "My handsome genius," she cooed. When I asked her to brush mine, she handed me the brush. "Do it yourself," she said. "You're old enough." I was 6. That was how it always went. Colden got warm smiles. I got cold stares. He received praise for B- grades. I got silence for straight A's. When he made the junior basketball team, Mom threw a party. When I won the regional math competition, she forgot to pick me up. I waited 2 hours in the rain before walking home. "Where were you?" my father asked that night. His eyes worried as I dripped on the kitchen floor. "Math competition. I won first place," I said, holding up my soggy certificate. "Your mother was supposed to—" He stopped as she walked into the room. "Supposed to what?" she asked, voice sharp as glass. "Nothing," he said quickly. "Maribel won her competition." Mom glanced at my certificate. Put that away before you ruin the floor. She turned to Dad. Did you remember to sign Colden up for summer camp? The good spots fill fast. That was my father always beginning sentences he never finished when it came to defending me. He'd start standing up, then crumple at the first sign of her displeasure. By 12, I learned to become invisible. I got myself to school events, forged her signature on permission slips, taught myself to cook when she forgot to make enough dinner for everyone. At 14, I overheard her on the phone with her sister. 2 children was never the plan, she hissed. I wanted my boy. That's it. The girl just happened. I wasn't just unwanted. I was a mistake she had to tolerate. But I was also watching, learning, seeing how she manipulated people, twisted facts, and kept everyone, especially my father, under her control. She thought she was teaching Colden to be strong by making me weak. Instead, she taught me to survive. The Stanford acceptance arrived on a Tuesday. I'd applied in secret, using my guidance counselor's office for the paperwork, so my mother wouldn't accidentally miss the deadlines like she had with my other college applications. When I saw the thick envelope in the mailbox, my hands trembled. Full scholarship. The escape route I'd been planning for years was finally real. I should have known better than to share the news. Stanford? My father smiled, a real one that reached his eyes. That's incredible, Maribel. My mother looked up from helping Colden with his homework. Stanford, she repeated flatly. Well, let's pray you don't embarrass us. Unlike some people, Colden added with a smirk, I'm aiming for Harvard, pre-med. Dr. Rowan, my mother sighed dreamily. It has such a powerful sound. I stood there, acceptance letter crumpling in my grip. Stanford Business School is ranked first in the country, I said quietly. Business? My mother's eyebrow arched. What would you do with that? Push papers around. Colden will be saving lives. He still has to get accepted first, I pointed out. The room went cold. Unlike you, my mother said, each word precisely aimed. Your brother doesn't need to brag about his accomplishments to feel special. My father looked between us, opened his mouth, then busied himself with the mail. I tucked my acceptance letter into my pocket and went upstairs. As I closed my bedroom door, something settled inside me, a certainty. This would be the last achievement they diminished, the last dream they tarnished. The last time I sought their approval, I was getting out, and I was never looking back. After finding the box and receiving my Stanford acceptance, I became a ghost in my own home, present but invisible, watching but unseen. Every night after my family went to bed, I worked on my escape plan. The stakes were too high for mistakes. First, the financial separation. I'd been saving since I was 14, babysitting money, tutoring fees, cash from the convenience store job I never told them about. Mom would have demanded family contributions if she knew. I opened a new bank account at a different bank, changed my mailing address for all Stanford correspondence to my best friend's house, researched affordable apartments near campus, and put down a deposit using my scholarship's housing allowance. Then came the evidence. I didn't just photograph those documents, I organized them chronologically, matched bank statements with charity board minutes, and identified every person my mother had threatened. The story they told was devastating. A trusted community member systematically stealing from a children's medical foundation over 3 years. My mother had ruined families who got in her way. Now I had proof. One night, as I worked silently in my room, I heard her laughing downstairs with my brother. The sound froze me, not because it was rare, but because it was so common, just never with me. For 18 years I'd tried to earn that laugh, that warmth, that love. Asterisk, asterisk. You know what hurts the most? Not what they did, but that I still tried to make them proud after everything. If you've ever given people too many chances, you already understand this pain. Don't just scroll subscribe. Join people who've been through it too. Because you deserve stories that make you feel seen. Asterisk, asterisk. The graduation dinner was coming. I knew my mother would try to make it about Colden somehow. She always did. What she didn't know was that I was ready. The night I walked out of Delmonico's, I went straight to my friend Jenna's house. I'd already moved most of my important belongings there piece by piece over the previous weeks. Did you really do it? She asked, eyes wide as I kicked off my heels. I did. My voice sounded strange, lighter somehow. My phone lit up. Dad calling. I silenced it. Then Colden. Ignore. Dad again. Silence. Nothing from my mother. By morning, I had 17 missed calls from my father, 5 from my brother, and 2 voice messages. I listened to the first one. Maribel, please come home. Your mother didn't mean. I deleted it without hearing the rest. The second was my brother. Way to ruin graduation dinner, drama queen. Mom's upset and Dad won't stop pacing. Fix this. 3 days passed. I stayed at Jenna's, preparing for my move to Stanford. My father's calls became less frequent. My brother stopped entirely. On day 4, my Aunt Elena called my mother's younger sister. Your mother wanted me to tell you something, she said cautiously. I'm listening. She says, you're being ungrateful, after everything they've done for you. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Everything they've done for me? Those were her words, Elena said quietly, not mine. Anything else? She expects you home by Sunday. I won't be coming home, I said. Ever. Maribel. Tell her I'm doing exactly what she always wanted, disappearing. I hung up and blocked her number too. That night, I looked at the folder of evidence on my laptop. The timing wasn't right yet. My mother thought this was a tantrum, a childish rebellion she could wait out. She thought I'd crawl back, apologize, return to my place in her shadow. She had no idea what was coming. 2 weeks before starting at Stanford, I rented a small hotel room to spread out all my evidence. Away from prying eyes, I could finally piece together the full story of what my mother had done. The documents told a clear tale. Mom had been treasurer of the Children's Medical Foundation for 4 years. The first year, everything was normal. Then small amounts began disappearing. $5,000 here, $8,000 there. By the 3rd year, she'd grown bolder. $50,000 vanished during a fundraising gala. The most damning evidence was a letter from the foundation director, Margaret Winters, questioning discrepancies. My mother's draft response was chilling. If you continue this witch hunt, I'll be forced to reveal what I know about your son's DUI that was conveniently buried last summer. Think carefully about how much your reputation means to you. I searched online for Margaret Winters. She'd resigned from the foundation board shortly after that exchange. Now she ran a small bookstore on the other side of town. The next day, I walked into Bright Corner Books at opening time. A gray-haired woman looked up from the register. Can I help you? Mrs. Winters? I'm Maribel Rowan. Her face changed instantly. Serena's daughter. Yes, but I'm not here on her behalf. Mrs. Winters glanced toward the door. Maybe you should go. I found the documents, I said quietly, about the foundation money and the threats. Her hands gripped the counter. I don't know what you're talking about. I have her letter threatening to expose your son's DUI if you kept asking questions. Mrs. Winters closed her eyes briefly. That was 7 years ago. The money was never recovered, was it? No. Her voice hardened. Your mother made sure the investigation died. 3 board members resigned. Nobody could prove anything, but everyone suspected. And nobody ever confronted her again? Mrs. Winters's laugh was bitter. Your mother knows everyone's secrets. She collects them like trophies. Nobody dared. What if someone wasn't afraid of her? I asked. Mrs. Winters studied me carefully. Are you planning something? I smiled. I'm just asking questions. But we both knew I was doing much more than that. My first day at Stanford felt like freedom. New city, new people, no cold stares or impossible expectations. I decorated my apartment with bright colors my mother would hate and slept without listening for footsteps in the hallway. But freedom wasn't my only goal. I'd created an anonymous email account using public Wi-Fi at a coffee shop miles from campus. Through it, I sent a carefully worded message to the Millfield Gazette. The Children's Medical Foundation financial scandal of 2016 was covered up. Key documents were suppressed. The person responsible still holds positions of trust in the community. Isn't it time someone investigated who really took $200,000 meant for sick children? I attached 3 documents, just enough to prove something happened, not enough to reveal my mother's identity. 3 days later, a reporter named Daniel Hayes published a small article titled, "Local Charity Scandal Deserves Fresh Look." It mentioned no names but asked questions about missing funds and abandoned investigations. That evening, my father called for the first time in weeks. Your mother is very upset, he said without greeting. Someone's writing nasty things in the paper about her charity work. My heart raced, but my voice remained steady. What does that have to do with me? Nothing, I suppose. Just thought you should know things are difficult here. Things have always been difficult, I said. Silence stretched between us. Will you be coming home for Thanksgiving? He finally asked. No. Another pause. Your mother thinks you might be behind this newspaper business. Why would she think that? I asked innocently. She says only someone with a grudge would dig up old history. I laughed. Dad, I'm busy with college. I don't have time for grudges. The lie came easily. Because this wasn't a grudge. This was justice. And I was just getting started. Asterisk, asterisk, when I finally stood my ground, they called me heartless. But tell me, where were they when I was breaking? If you've ever had to choose peace over people, this channel is your space. Subscribe, not for me, but for every quiet soul who took their power back. Asterisk, asterisk. A month into the semester, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. I almost declined, thinking it was my mother using someone else's phone. Maribel, it's Aunt Elena, my mother's sister, the messenger who'd called me ungrateful. What do you want? I asked coldly. Not what you think, she said. Can we meet? I'm in Palo Alto for a conference. Curiosity won. We met at a coffee shop far from campus. Elena looked nervous, constantly checking over her shoulder. Your mother doesn't know I'm here, she said immediately, and she can't find out. Why are you here? That newspaper article about the foundation? She's panicking. Board members are asking questions again. That's unfortunate, I said, keeping my face neutral. Elena leaned forward. Cut the act, Maribel. I know it was you. My stomach tightened. You don't know anything. I know everything, she whispered. I was on that foundation board. My coffee cup froze midway to my lips. I saw what she did, Elena continued. I knew she was stealing, but she threatened to tell my husband about. She paused. About something from my past. She blackmailed her own sister? Elena's laugh was hollow. Family means nothing to Serena except as tools or obstacles. You know that better than anyone. Why are you telling me this now? Because I have evidence too. Documents I kept as insurance. She slid a USB drive across the table. It's all here, proof she manipulated foundation accounts, threatening emails, everything. My hand closed around the drive. Why help me now? Because I was a coward back then. Because I watched how she treated you for years and said nothing. Elena's eyes were wet. And because somebody needs to stop her. Asterisk, asterisk. You know that hollow feeling when someone finally admits the truth you've known all along? If this story is hitting too close to home, you're not alone. Hit subscribe and join others who understand, because sometimes the family you choose is stronger than the one you were born into. Asterisk, asterisk. The local newspaper ran a follow-up article 2 weeks later. This one had names, dates, specific amounts missing. The reporter had done his homework, connecting dots between my anonymous tip and Elena's documents. My phone exploded with notifications. Social media was buzzing with hometown drama. Serena Rowan, named in charity investigation. Local philanthropist accused of embezzlement. Children's Medical Foundation reopens 2016 financial probe. My roommate glanced at my screen. Someone you know? Just hometown gossip, I said casually. That evening, my brother called for the first time since I'd left. What the hell is happening? Colden demanded. Mom's locked herself in her office. Dad's drinking. People are sending weird messages asking if we knew. Knew what? I asked innocently. Don't play dumb. This charity thing, it's all over town. Maybe ask Mom about it. I did. She says it's lies. She says you're behind it. I laughed. Of course she blames me. Are you? His voice sharpened. Behind it? Goodbye, Colden. I hung up, blocking his number too. Over the next week, the community's reaction snowballed. Mom's bridge club quietly asked her to take a break. The country club board requested a meeting. 2 charity organizations removed her name from their donor walls. My father called, sounding exhausted. Your mother's reputation is being destroyed, he said. That's unfortunate, I replied. Maribel, if you know something about this. I know a lot of things, Dad. I know she stole from sick children. I know she threatened people to cover it up. I know she's been cruel to me my entire life while you watched. Silence. People are just learning who she really is, I added. I learned years ago. He had no answer for that. I was walking back from class when I saw them. My mother and father stood near the fountain in the main quad, looking completely out of place among the students. Mom wore her navy blue important meeting suit with pearl earrings. Dad looked tired, his shoulders slumped beside her rigid posture. My first instinct was to turn and walk away, but they'd spotted me. Maribel, my mother called, voice carrying across the courtyard. Several students turned to look. I approached slowly, keeping my face blank. What are you doing here? We need to talk, she said, privately. We ended up in a coffee shop just off campus. My father ordered black coffee. My mother refused anything. I deliberately ordered the most expensive drink on the menu. This has gone far enough, Mom said the moment we sat down. You need to fix this. I stirred my drink. Fix what? Don't play innocent. These rumors, the newspaper articles, the foundation investigation. Her voice was low but intense. I know you're behind it. That's quite an accusation. Half our friends won't return my calls. The charity board is reviewing all my past work. Your father's contracting business is losing clients because of association. Her eyes narrowed. All because you had a temper tantrum at graduation. I looked at my father. Is that what she told you? That I walked out because of a tantrum? He shifted uncomfortably. Maribel, whatever disagreements we've had, destroying your mother's reputation isn't the answer. You think this is about reputation? I laughed. This is about $200,000 stolen from sick children. My mother's face went white. Lower your voice. Why? Worried someone might hear the truth? You have no proof of anything, she hissed. I opened my bag and placed a single piece of paper on the table, a copy of her threatening letter to Margaret Winters. This is just the beginning of what I have, I said quietly. My father picked up the paper, reading with growing horror. Serena, what is this? He whispered. It's nothing, she snapped, snatching it from him. An old misunderstanding. I have all the documents, I said. Every transfer, every cover-up, every threat. My mother's eyes met mine, and for the first time in my life, I saw fear in them. The foundation board released their findings exactly 1 week after our coffee shop confrontation. They used careful language, financial irregularities, misappropriation of funds, breach of fiduciary duty, but everyone understood what it meant. Serena Rowan had stolen money meant for children's medical care. The story dominated local news. Former friends gave anonymous quotes about always having suspicions. People who had praised her charity work now claimed they'd seen red flags. The community that once worshipped her now couldn't distance themselves fast enough. My brother called, his voice no longer smug. Did you know? He asked. About the money? I found out last year. Why didn't you tell me? I nearly laughed. Would you have believed me over Mom? His silence was answer enough. The police might get involved, he said finally. There's talk about criminal charges. That's how stealing works, Colden. She's still our mother, he insisted, but his voice lacked conviction. No, I corrected. She's your mother. She made it clear I was never really her daughter. The newspaper published a feature story titled Respected Community Members' Secret Past. It detailed not just the embezzlement, but the pattern of threats and intimidation that had kept people silent for years. Former board members finally spoke out, including Aunt Elena, who was quoted saying she regretted staying silent out of fear. My phone buzzed with a text from Dad. Your mother's been asked to resign from all her community positions. The country club revoked our membership. Please call me. I didn't. That evening, I received an email from Mrs. Winters, the bookstore owner. I heard what happened. Thank you for having the courage I lacked. Some people need to face consequences, even if they're family, especially if they're family. For the first time since walking out of that graduation dinner, I felt completely at peace. The truth was out, and the carefully crafted image my mother had built was finally crumbling to dust. 3 months after the scandal broke, my father showed up at my apartment unannounced. He looked thinner, older, with new lines etched around his eyes. Can I come in? He asked, standing awkwardly in the hallway. I let him in, but didn't offer coffee. Didn't ask how he found my address. Didn't make small talk. Your mother and I are separating, he said, sitting at my small kitchen table. I've moved into an apartment across town. I nodded, feeling nothing. I'm sorry it took a public scandal for you to leave. He flinched. I deserve that. You deserve worse, I said. You watched her hurt me for years and did nothing. I know, his voice cracked. I told myself I was protecting you by staying. That I was the buffer between you and her worst behavior. You weren't. No, he agreed. I was a coward, afraid of her anger, afraid of being alone. He looked up, afraid of admitting I married someone capable of such cruelty. Rain tapped against the window as silence stretched between us. The foundation is pursuing legal action, he said finally. Your mother might face criminal charges. I know. Mrs. Winters keeps me updated. He nodded. Colden's struggling. His Harvard application was rejected. He thinks it's connected to the scandal. It probably is. He blames you. Of course he does. I crossed my arms. Just like Mom taught him to. Dad reached for his wallet and pulled out an old photo me at 10, holding a science fair ribbon. "You were so proud that day," he said softly. "Your mother didn't come. I told you she was sick." I remember. She wasn't sick. She was at Colden's baseball game. I took the photo, studying my younger self's hopeful smile. "I failed you, Maribel," he whispered. "I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I finally see the truth." I didn't cry, didn't hug him, didn't offer absolution. But I didn't ask him to leave either. The Children's Medical Foundation filed charges against my mother in April. The district attorney's office pursued the case aggressively. Embezzlement, fraud, witness intimidation. The evidence was overwhelming once people stopped being afraid to speak. I didn't attend the arraignment, but Aunt Elena sent me a text. She pleaded not guilty, looked shocked when they took her passport. I wasn't surprised. My mother had spent a lifetime believing rules didn't apply to her. What did surprise me was the call from my brother. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won out. "I need to know something," Colden said without greeting. "Did Mom really treat you that badly growing up?" "Yes. I never noticed." "You weren't supposed to notice. You were the golden child." He was quiet for a moment. "Dad's been telling me stories about things she did, things he let happen. They're probably true. Why didn't you ever say anything to me?" I laughed. "Would you have believed me over your perfect mother?" Another pause. "No," he admitted. "I wouldn't have." At least he was honest. "The prosecutor offered her a deal," he continued. "If she pays back everything plus a fine, she might avoid jail time." "Will she take it?" "She says she's innocent." Of course she did. 2 weeks later, my mother was required to make a public apology to the foundation as part of a pre-trial agreement. Local news covered it. I watched online as she stood at a podium, reading a statement with clenched jaw and cold eyes. "I apologize for any irregularities that occurred during my tenure as treasurer." No admission of guilt, no genuine remorse, just carefully worded phrases crafted by lawyers. But her eyes told the real story: fury at being caught, at being publicly shamed, at losing control of the narrative. I closed my laptop halfway through her speech. I'd seen enough. That evening, a reporter from the local paper called, asking for comment as the daughter who exposed the scandal. "No comment," I said. "Don't you want people to hear your side?" "This was never about being heard," I told him. "It was about the truth coming to light." And it had. My mother would face consequences. My father had finally grown a spine. My brother was questioning everything he thought he knew. I had accomplished exactly what I set out to do. The unwanted daughter had made herself impossible to ignore. 1 year after the scandal, I sat on the campus lawn with friends, celebrating the end of finals. The California sun warmed my face as we planned a weekend trip to the coast. My phone buzzed with a text from my father. "Thanksgiving is next week. I'm hosting at my apartment. Colden will be there. Your mother too. We'd all like to see you." My friend Alicia noticed my expression. "Everything okay?" "Family stuff," I said, putting my phone away without responding. Later that night, I thought about how much had changed. My mother had avoided jail by paying full restitution to the foundation, but her reputation was permanently damaged. According to my father, she rarely left the house now, claiming people looked at her differently. My brother had transferred to a state school after his Harvard rejection. Dad said he was struggling to form his own identity after years of being Serena's brilliant son. My father called weekly. Sometimes I answered. Our conversations were careful, fragile things, him trying to bridge the gap, me keeping firm boundaries. As for me, I was thriving. Dean's List, research position, real friends who knew my story and loved me anyway. I finally replied to my father's text. "I won't be coming. I'm spending Thanksgiving with friends here." He responded immediately. "I understand. Your mother asked me to tell you she's sorry for everything." I stared at those words, turning them over in my mind. A year ago, I would have given anything to hear them. Now, they felt hollow. "Tell her I received her message," I typed back. Nothing more. That night, I looked at old family photos I'd kept in a folder on my laptop. My mother's cold eyes, my father's weak smile, my brother's smug confidence, me always slightly apart, always trying to belong. I closed the folder and deleted it. People think revenge is about making others suffer, but true revenge, it's about reclaiming what was taken from you. Your power, your voice, your right to choose who deserves a place in your life. I didn't destroy my mother to punish her. I exposed her because the truth deserved to be free. And in freeing the truth, I freed myself. Asterisk, asterisk, sometimes revenge isn't about payback, it's about peace. And if this story touched you, subscribe right now. Because somewhere out there, another person is watching in silence, needing a reminder that they're not alone, and your one click might help them find it. Asterisk, asterisk.